Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, so let's cut to the chase of this one. No, that title isn't clickbait, not even remotely. Thanks to a bunch of 2020 Halo action figures getting revealed at New York Toy Fair, we now have our first official look at a ton of things from Infinite. From Spartans and multiplayer armors, to weapons, to Covenant, and yes, you read that title right, possibly a boat. All credit for these pictures goes to the legendary 117. They're all from his Twitter and Instagram. He was at the fair and he got a bunch of really good quality pictures of them, so go follow him over there. But yeah, let's dive right in. So starting in the top left, we have an energy sword. Now honestly, I don't think that there's much to see here, really. In both pictures, it looks more like the H2A sword than any other sword design. I am really digging the black sort of handle though. Compared to the silver handle that we usually get, I reckon the black one looks pretty damn cool. Now, below the sword, we have a pretty big reveal. In the foreground, we have a blue Mark 5B Spartan with a new gun and a gold elite general. Now, the Spartan looks pretty damn good, if you ask me. Great looking black undersuit, a nice contrast between the blue armor and the undersuit, which is something that 343 Spartans have totally lacked until now. And overall, you know, it just looks like Halo compared to the Gen 2 stuff, which really didn't to me. As for the weapon, people are saying that it could be either the Hydra or maybe a saw redesign, which, I don't know, to me it looks kind of like that, maybe, but more so, to me, it looks like some sort of heavy MA40 assault rifle or something. Or maybe it could even be this weapon, which we saw in a bunch of Halo 5 concept art, which seemed to either be cut from the game or was redesigned to the Hydra or something. I always loved how this weapon looked. It reminded me of a sort of heavy needle or nail gun or something, so I don't know, time will tell. As for the Elite, it's a gold general, and the general armor that it's wearing, although it does look similar to Halo Reaches and also Halo 4 and Halo 5's, is different. The shoulders are slightly different, the helmet is a bit as well, so it's definitely a new design. I've got to say, I was never really a massive fan of the general armor. I'm still not really even looking at this. I don't dislike it, but I'm not a huge fan of it. But that said, if this is the Infinite Elite design, which it more than likely is, I'll at the very least be happy that there's a nice contrast between the Elite's armor and the undersuit, which is what Bungie's Elites always had really well and 343's Elites didn't as much. I like a lot of contrast between armor and undersuits, and seeing all of Infinite's designs seemingly have that makes me really happy. Then in the background, we have two more Spartan designs. The one on the left with that new heavy AR looking thing, and the one on the right in what looks like Mark 5B. If you ask me, these are either multiplayer Spartans or Spartans from the campaign, considering the big villain to be determined signs next to them. Now obviously 343 don't want to reveal the villain for Infinite until proper marketing kicks off, which makes sense, and honestly, thank God they're doing that. I'm not a fan of the amount of details we're getting released through toys, so if they release the antagonist of the game through toys, that would be kind of sucky. But thankfully they're not doing. Anyways, moving on. Here, we have our first look at the actual Infinite Mongoose, and more importantly, the Spanker. The Mongoose looks pretty standard. Honestly, it looks like the Halo 5 one fused with a dirt bike or something, but goddamn, dude, Chief with that Spanker looks so damn good. The Spanker actually appears to be fully black now. It could just be a design they went with for the toy, and honestly, I hope it is. The Combat Evolved Spanker to me is Peep Spanker with the brown and grey colouring, and I'd love to see that return, but still, despite that, seeing like a dirty Chief armed with a Spanker looks so damn good. That Gen 3 armour is absolutely beautiful. Here we have our first proper look at what appears to be the Infinite Marine and Grunt designs, along with a BR and Needler. There's a better shot here of one of the Marines from one of the bigger figures that we'll get onto in a minute, and they look a little bit weird. Now, that's not a bad weird by any means. I love the woodland camo BDUs they have on, and the grey armour is really an interesting choice. Very Combat Evolved inspired, I think. The helmet is also pretty weird, very Reach inspired, but also kind of new in a way. A man is even wearing shades as well, like he was in the original Infinite trailer. Even Marines can't fight without their Ray-Bans. Going back to the other picture, look at that battle rifle. Dude, I will literally implode if the BR in Infinite is just a BR55. Like, you have no idea how insanely happy that'd make me. It was the absolute perfect BR design, and every design since has paled in comparison, so fingers crossed. That is my dream for that to happen. And then for the grunt, it's a bit of a weird one, I'm going to be honest. It looks like the Halo 4 and Halo 5 grunt design, which I really don't like. But the armor looks really classic, like Halo 2, Halo 3 inspired, which I really do like. Maybe they spliced together both art styles for it. I mean, they said they're going to do that with a lot of stuff, so who knows, that probably is what they did. And then the Needler, thankfully, looks nothing like that weird Nerf Needler that we got the other day. It actually looks like a Needler. Nice and simple, honestly, I respect it. Moving on, we have our first proper look at the Warthog. And fellas, another one of my dreams has come true. The classic turret shield is fully back. One of my most nitpicky and hardcore gripes with 343's Warthog was the turret shield. I absolutely pathologically hated it. Like, I couldn't put into words how much I disliked the fact that they changed it. And honestly, I never expected us to get the classic one back. Well, I guess I should have done. Other than that, though, it looks pretty much like the 343 design with the roll cage and all that stuff, which, honestly, I'm fine with. The turret just looks so good, and I'm so happy we have that classic turret guard back. Now, going away from figures for a second, we have a weird array of face masks. Carter, Infinite Chief, and Palmer. Now, okay, before anyone comments it, and I know somebody will do, no, Carter is not alive. He did not survive Reach. At least I don't think he did. But yeah, anyways, I can obviously see Chief and Palmer being an Infinite, but definitely not Carter, so these are probably just sort of general pieces of merchandise and not specifically Infinite focus like most of the other stuff here. Now, here comes one of the biggest ones. Here, you can see we have a Brohammer figure armed with a gorgeous looking BR55, and then a classic Rutian Jackal. Now, okay, don't get me wrong, the 343 Jackal design is actually one of the only redesigns of theirs that I actually loved, but holy hell, I'd absolutely love and have missed the classic Jackal design so much, and seeing this made me so happy. Its new armor looks insanely cool as well. Those three eyes make me think that this could maybe even be a Jackal sniper, and the armor in general looks so Halo 3 and Reach inspired. One thing I've said for a while that I'd love to see are the classic Jackals taking up the role of marksmen and snipers, and then the 343 Jackals as the more sort of tough, ruthless shield-holding Jackals. Maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't do, we'll see. But either way, I cannot wait to be sniped 3,000 times by this iconic bad boy on Legendary. Bring it on. Moving over, we have Chief again with his MA40 assault rifle. Another Marine with slightly different looking shoulder pads this time, actually looking a little bit like UA-based security from Reach. And another shot at what I think is a white multiplayer Spartan armed with none other than the iconic BR55. No, I will never get tired of saying that. And as for the Spartan himself, I'm not gonna lie, he looks like he's been straight up just pulled out of a Bungie Halo. I cannot put into words how happy that makes me to say. The classic BR55 on white, simple armor on black undersuit is a genuinely iconic and very Halo look that's just been completely absent from 343's games. Well, at least up until now. I am in love with this armor. Absolutely in love. Back onto helmets, we have what looks very much like a Halo 3 Legendary Edition styled helmet. This time for Chief's Infinite Gen 3, and dude, just look at it. It looks so good. Now for the bigger action figures. These 6.5-inch ones are pretty varied, to say the least. Starting off, we have another Chief figure with armor that looks a bit more like Halo 2 and Halo 3's sage green coloring, as opposed to the brighter green that we've seen it in so far. And honestly, I think I really prefer this sort of darker green, but that's pretty minor nitpick, honestly. He's also armed with what may be our first look at the Infinite Magnum. Again, incredibly Reach-inspired, which I'm all down for. Dual wielding also confirmed? I hope. Then we have Cat, who appears to have a Spartan laser. Again, definitely not alive. Given that they're making a Carter mask and a Cat figure, it's likely that they're just making some throwback Reach figures, which honestly is nothing out of the ordinary, and given the Reach hype recently, it's something that I kind of honestly expected. The next two, the pink Spartan and the white one, are, I think, more examples of multiplayer Spartans. I cannot and will not ever get over how insanely Halo these look. Like, honestly, I'm so used to 343 just making Gen 2 stuff that doesn't resemble the Halo that at least I know and love. That it's almost weird, in a way, seeing these designs. I've said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. They look like they've been pulled straight out of a Bungie Halo. If you came to me, right, and said that these were armors that Bungie fully designed, fully modeled, and fully textured for either Halo 3 or Halo Reach, but ended up cutting them at the last minute, I'd believe you, honestly. I would legitimately believe you, and that makes me so happy to say. We've gone from this to this. Talk about a glow up, dude. Jesus. And finally, for the action figures at least, we have some bigger 12-inch ones. Again, another Chief, then Tanaka, but for some reason, with a bit more classic-inspired armor. It looks a bit different to her usual Technician armor. Could she maybe be an Infinite? Possibly. I mean, she was pretty damn boring in Halo 5, if I'm being quite honest, but if 343 want to bring her back and actually try and make her an interesting character this time around, then I'm all for it. Go ahead, try it. I'm down for it. Then we have what I think is another Infinite multiplayer Spartan armor. Again, just looking so classic yet new, and so damn Halo. There's even something about the colours too that make it look a bit more classic. I don't know what it actually is, but the colours themselves just feel more classic to me. I don't even know if that makes any sense. I'm probably just head casing because of how happy I am, but I can't shake the fact that the colours look classic. Right, now let's move on to take a look at the Mega Block stuff that got revealed in the day. The first official reveal of the Infinite Mongoose, Warthog and Pelican all came the other day from Mega Blocks. Now, we've covered the Mongoose and Warthog so far in this video, but we haven't covered the Pelican. And my friends, the Pelican looks so much better than 343's previous design. It looks straight up pulled out of Halo 2 or maybe even Halo Reach, and it even has Archer missile pods on the wings. I love it so much. Oh my god. However, that isn't all. You see, these kits can also be built into sort of alternate vehicles and figures, and although it's worth noting that these are not the first Mega Block sets to have that ability, and that not all of the alternate builds in the past have been things that are actually in the games, I kind of have a feeling that some of these might be. So the Pelican can be rebuilt into a UNSC defensive base type of thing, which is cool, but I don't think it's that relevant. However, the Mongoose can be rebuilt into this land speeder thing that looks an awful lot like the Doozy, a land speeder type vehicle that Bungie cut from Halo 2. Yeah, very suspicious that. But the Warthog can be rebuilt into something that we have been salivating over since it was cut from Combat Evolved. A boat in Halo! And then, what's more, is that if we take a look at this massive Mega Block set piece, which is, I think at least, meant to depict a war on Zeta Halo, also, shout out to Tom Jurassic for tweeting this over on Twitter, we can actually see this boat being used in a fight against the Covenant. Now, this is by no means any confirmation that Infinite will have water combat or a boat, but you never know. I mean, if you cast your mind back to the first Infinite trailer, it had a really weird focus on water, with that underwater Pelican and also the Sentinel going to inspect the Pelican underwater. And also, boats and water combat were prototyped quite a few times by Bungie, for Halo Combat Evolved, for Halo Reach, and I think also for Halo 2 as well, so Halo has a very long and detailed history with it. Now, with how much 343 are dipping into legacy stuff with Infinite, I honestly don't think it'd be that surprising if we saw them finally try and conquer the hurdle that is water-based combat in Halo. A man can dream. And then, as for the Covenant in this picture, well, there's been a lot of discussion about these Black Covenant figures, and pretty much the general consensus right now is that they're like prototype designs, they aren't actual designs. If you look at them quite closely, you can see that I think they're all just Halo 5 like grunts and elites, and also they don't look painted to me, so I would hazard a guess that they're sort of prototype designs. They hadn't finished the designs for the Infinite Elites and Grunts or something, so I wouldn't look too much into those. But I've got to say, if we get some Jet Black Elites and Grunts in Infinite, like the Spec Ops Elites in Halo 1, then I am going to be a happy boy, because those designs, I actually love them. So if you want to bring them back, then be my guest. And so, that's all for now. Can you feel that, guys? Can you feel that moisture in the air? The air's becoming quite dank, and you know what that means? The dry spell is almost over. Bring on the monsoon of marketing. Right, so, I'll end this one here. Massive thank you to Lady Katsumi for becoming a new iconic one over on the old Patreon, as well as, of course, everyone else who continues to support me over there. And thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Fingers crossed you enjoyed this and that your hype for Infinite is growing. And I'll catch you all in the next one.